Leadership is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about alignment, awareness, heart, and grit. I'm Tammy Ebright, leadership strategist, and this is Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. Join me as I chat with leaders who are evolving, growing, and creating real impact on purpose. Each week, you'll hear stories that inspire, challenge, and remind you of who you are. Let's dive in. Okay, so welcome back to Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. Today, my special guest is Scott Reise with Rate. Scott is a regional vice president. He's got 31 years in the mortgage industry. That is a long time, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
And something that stood out to me about Scott is on his LinkedIn, he shares some good, some not so good leadership things that he's learned along the way. And I was just really excited to have a conversation and to learn more about you and your journey. So welcome, Scott.
Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate you taking the time and having me on. And yeah, it's been 31 years. You can see the salt and pepper in the hair. It's turning more into salt than pepper because of the years. Most of them have been good, but I've learned something along the way. And that's really, you talked about the LinkedIn. That's my way of giving back to an industry that's been good for myself, my family, my employees. That's why I'm real passionate about doing it. I think it's good to be professionally outspoken and say what a lot of others are thinking but can't say because there might be retribution. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, so I definitely understand, not being able to say things and having those experiences. So I have a 20-year mortgage background myself, anywhere from I did closing documents and processing to inside sales, outside sales, and management for just a little bit. And the last company that I worked for had a little bit of a leadership challenge that just kind of like I felt like I was kind of being pushed out of the industry anyway. Like I was supposed to be doing something more with the experiences that I had, but it was definitely, so your message where you talk about the challenges, like where does that come from you? Can you tell me a little bit about your story and kind of how you got to where you are?
Yeah. So if you go back, I graduated college in 92, did some non-mortgage stuff, and then got into, was actually working for a bank. I'm originally from New Jersey. I grew up about 45 minutes west of New York City in a town called Bridgewater, New Jersey, and came down to Baltimore for college at Loyola. After college, I had moved back and was working for a bank called NatWest Bank. I think they were eventually bought out by Fleet. They had me working at their headquarters doing customer service, and I would answer questions about deposit accounts and the direct deposit hit if there was a problem. But then also people were calling in saying, I want to apply for an auto loan. I want to apply for a personal loan or a mortgage. And I would hand them off. And then one time I was talking to somebody that I handed a mortgage referral off to, and they were like, you sound pretty good on the phones. You should get in the mortgage. And didn't think anything of it. The long and short of it is that opportunity, the company, that was when I got laid off. My first real job in banking, if you want to call it, or mortgage. They came to me a little over a year in and said, we're moving out of Bridgewater, New Jersey to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and you could either go into our management training program on Wall Street and you have to commute in to New York every day. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. You can go and move up to Scranton and keep your same job, or, we're just going to have to lay you off. We'll give you a small severance and wish you the best. So I took the severance. A good friend of mine had started with Norwest on the consumer finance side in Baltimore. So I had roots from college. I moved back, started on the consumer finance side, moved up to a branch manager about 19 months in, became a district manager for half the state of Maryland. And then I moved over to home mortgage. It's been a fun ride since. I've run, small to mid-sized companies. Probably had the most growth when I was at Rate for the first time, when it was guaranteed rate during the COVID years. We were pretty much running a small to mid-sized company. We did about, just in the DMV, we did about $2 billion in 2020 and a little over 2.4 billion in 21. So I've seen it all. I've been a banker I've been a broker only, and I've been a correspondent in the IMB world.
Leadership lesson that you could share with me that you've learned through all these years that really has stood, true no matter what market we're in?
I would say, and people who have worked for me that are hearing this, or my employees that work for me now, if they heard me saying this, they'll just laugh, but they know it's sincere. I am a big Lou Holtz fan. And when I was a rookie at Norwest, they showed us a video called Do Right. And Lou Holtz was talking about some stuff that I had learned from a macroeconomics professor in college when I was 18. It's three rules that I live by, and I judge every leader by them, and really each employee. The three rules are: be there, meaning it's your job. I used to have to go to work at Norwest with a tie on every day, Monday through Friday, and I had to be in the office. Right now, I'm talking to you. I've got this on, but I'll be honest with you, I'm barefoot. I'm a martial artist, so I like to be barefoot, but I'm a casual person now. I don't give a damn where my employees work from as long as they're communicating and they're productive. So be there, play to win. You want to put your best effort in. And probably the most important is be a pro, be professional. I saw that and I looked for those qualities in each person that I worked for. And for the most part, I've worked for really good leaders, and I've tried to take all the positive qualities, and even some of the positive qualities, I'd be like, that's just not my style, but it's good what they're doing. That's just not how I am. And I feel like I am the final combination I'm like a big potpourri. I've taken a little bit of each of those wonderful people that helped me, mentored me, developed me as a young man in the industry. And I've said, I'm going to take all the positive things, and that's who I'm going to try to be. And I've had to adapt based on market conditions and so forth. But I think I've been treated horribly by one person years ago. And I said to myself, I will never do that. I will never. This person was notorious for, demeaning people in public, could never give you credit. You could do 95 out of 100 things right, and he'd rip you apart on the other five in a public forum. It wasn't just me. I mean, this was everybody. And I'm like, that's not going to work for me. But what I tried to do is I tried to say, hey, that guy I will never be like, and I will never let anybody treat one of my employees that way. But I also look back over on this side, my neighbor across the street was the manager. We don't live near each other by design. He was the guy that promoted me to my first branch at Norwest. And I tell him to this day, we're all friends, or we go out to dinner every once in a while. He taught me how to be super productive and have fun. There weren't clients in the office. We had 80s music on and 90s music on. We joked around. We had a good time. We brought lunch in. And I think it's a combination of all those different things. And I think that's part of the problem that we have in the industry is you've been doing this a while too. We don't have that next level of people. When I started, most people were early 20s to early 30s. And now when I look around, like even in my region, most of us are early 40s to early 60s. And it's like that next wave isn't there. I'm fortunate in that I'm a human sponge. I'm willing to listen to people and take in as much as I can. But I've been blessed to work with some wonderful people from my first experience in the business.
Wow, that's incredible. It's really a testament because it's such a high stress industry. And I think that people could really not have a lot of self-awareness at times and share in the heat of the moment, and maybe not even, it's one thing to kind of lose your cool at times, but that coming back and making amends and being truly regretful if you make a mistake, I think, that's also an important part of leadership. Is there a defining moment that has really shaped how you lead?
Yeah, I was with Norwest / Wells Fargo for about 11 years. I left in November of '05 to work with a company called Elite Funding. They were a correspondent lender, decent sized correspondent lender and broker out of the DC area. And they wanted to expand into the Baltimore market. So we opened up a region in November of '05, had pretty good growth with it. And then all of a sudden, the implodometer became a thing. And all of a sudden, these companies, the Wall Street meltdown started. The gentleman that was running the company and I knew each other from college. He was going over to a sister company to run that. And then I got thrust into the president's role in the first week of December of '07 and was handed
Mm,
some envelopes with problems, a Virginia audit, a Maryland audit that you need to work on, a couple $1 million worth of buybacks for no doc loans. And then being thrust into that situation the first time as, the leader of the company, I got to call the shots and you're like, oh, that's so cool. It was kind of cool, but it was also a little terrifying in the beginning because I'm watching our industry collapse. And every day we're like, how many more went under on the implode meter? So steering that company through the Wall Street meltdown and coming out on the other end that much stronger, to me was the defining moment where I got this. If I can handle this, I can handle anything. So like when COVID threw us that wrench in a good way at first, when all the loans were falling from the sky, I wasn't, I don't want to say I wasn't phased, but I'm calm. And I think some of that goes to my martial arts, my jujitsu training. We're trained to be calm in chaos, and we're in a chaotic industry. And a lot of my employees will say that to me, like, how do you're present, you're always available, but you're calm. I don't see you freak out. I'm like, because I pick my battles, man. I've been through it. I made mistakes early on. I overreacted to stuff and stressed out about stuff that once I dove into it, I realized it wasn't that bad. So I think that's the key part of leadership right now is humble confidence. There's too many arrogant, I was about to say a bad word, but arrogant jerks in this business. There's chauvinist pigs. There's, you name it. We could write a book about some of these people down,
mm,
years
mhm.
from now. I think at the end of the day, that was the big, clearly defining moment where I'm in my mid 30s. I'm thrust into this position. I'm excited about it. And then when I got in and I opened it up and dissected, I was like, holy shit. Like I got my work cut out for me, but I loved it. I loved it because I
Mhm.
loved the challenge and we got through it. And a lot of those core employees are still working for me today.
That's really
They're
cool.
over here.
That is really cool. Yeah, that was a challenging time. I had my closing document company during that, and
Yeah.
like really my daughter was born in like February of '08, and then in August of '08 I had to close my company because I went from like 75 closings a month to like 2 or 3, and I was like, I'm not going to be tied to my computer anymore. I'm going to go out and be one of those unorganized loan officers that are sending me their
Yeah.
files last minute. So I remember that and how many people really got out of the industry at that time. But also, there was a lot of good that came out of that. A lot of, I mean, I don't want to say that more regulation is good, but I think more making sure that people are doing things for the right reason and there's more transparency in lending, I think is some of the good stuff that I've seen come during
Yeah,
that time.
I agree. A level of accountability. It went from the Wild West. I mean, I've seen from a behavior standpoint, but also, I mean, I'm proud of the fact I handled it the right way, but I don't know that there's anyone in this industry that's been doing it for a while that hasn't been aware that someone in their office or company committed fraud. So,
Mm,
and somebody will say, oh, well, it's just this, client forgot to initial these two things to, some crazy artwork that they created. There's no excuse for it. And with no
mhm.
hesitation in the past, I fired my top producer in 2005 before I left Wells Fargo. And my boss at the time is like, you really sure you want to do this? They make a lot of money for us. And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, how are you
Not
even
worth it.
asking me that question? Like, this is a no-brainer. But that response tells you, I don't blame him. I blame the pressure from above. I guess he's responsible for saying that too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yes.
think right now we've had compressed margins for over 3 years. Most companies have not made a profit the majority of quarters over the last 3 years. And the money that they have made is not what they're used to. I think a lot of companies are sitting back here today. All right, maybe this week, next week, I'm going to have the July financials. How do they look? If it's not there, where else can I cut? And if I can do those cuts, I'm probably going to have to do them in September and October because I don't want to look super insensitive and do it right before Thanksgiving or Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. I think that's just kind of where we are right now. I feel like the leaders need to be super transparent
Hmm.
And I think there's a lot of leaders that have a pretty good idea about what's about to go down. They're going into selfish mode. They're covering their own ass right now. They're looking out for number one. And this is where the true test of leadership is going to come. If anyone in your audience is working for a leader right now, who that leader, he or she is being transparent and saying, we're going to be okay. I've talked to leadership. This is it. Then great. Hunker down and ride it out with that person. If your manager is not saying anything to you, or if your manager is completely absent, the red flags, it's like being at the ocean. There's a riptide out there. You better not go in the water because it's dangerous. And I think the next 60 days, I would say 60 plus days between now and Halloween are going to be telling for the industry. Unless something dramatic happens with rates, where all of a sudden volume picks up, I think we're going to see some more change.
And is it because I can remember, whenever I bought my first home, which was in like 2000. I mean, I had like an 8% rate. So because the price of houses have increased so much that also the rates is just making it, to me, whenever I was able to refinance and get 6.5, I was like, yes, this
Oh
is
yeah,
cool. But that
yeah,
was 25 years ago.
yeah. I think I don't know the exact percentage, but the majority of homeowners that had an opportunity to refinance during the COVID years, if you want to call it that, 20 through early 22, are probably sitting somewhere, depending on the term of their loan, 1.75 to 4%, depending
Mhm.
on 15, 30-year fixed. And they're sitting back saying, oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait. So I think that's part of the reason. Like, if the average 30-year fixed right now is floating between 6.25 and 6.5, depending on the company you're at, it's still maybe too much of a bridge. But I do feel like if that six goes away, and even a 5.99 sounds a lot sexier than 6%. And I think if we get there, the elevator doors open and then it starts to go down. My fear is, and I'm not trying to scare people, I'm just being completely honest because people need to hear this. And I think at a lot of companies, they're not. It is perfectly normal for the industry to slow down post Halloween. If someone's looking to move, I'm not saying people don't move in November and December, but a lot of people have that vision of most people in America celebrate Thanksgiving. If I can be moved into that house by Halloween, I have 3+ weeks to get everything set
Mhm.
up and I can host Thanksgiving and show off my new house. And then that sense of urgency dies down a little bit. But we're used to November, December, January, February being the tough months of the year from a unit, volume, and profit standpoint. They would always say, even at Wells, just survive January and February. Maybe March starts off a little slow, but then you're really going to start to make that money and accelerate that income April through September. Then it slows down and then it happens again. My fear is like we've had 3+ years of this, and I'm super optimistic. Don't get me wrong. If you just have to work harder and smarter than you ever have, and the problem right now is there's a lot of people that are my age in their 50s that are just damn tired. They're burnt out. They're
Mhm.
spent. Even my top originators, several of them are already over 50 million for the year. They could very likely hit 100 million plus in volume this year. They're telling me, Scott, in a normal year, if I had 5 people put in an offer over the weekend, I was probably getting 2 or 3 of them, maybe 4 on occasion. I'm goose egging.
Mhm.
I'm just, it's tough because the rates are higher. There's not as many at bats or offers out there, but you still have these unicorn originators out there that are still pumping out crazy volume at a lot of different companies. I think the best thing we can do as leaders is share with our teams what we know internally, but also externally. And I do a lot of mastermind sessions with friends in the industry across the country. And we don't share like the intimate company secret details, but we share enough where we can help one another. I think it's good to have friends and allies in the business instead of enemies, where there's enough loans for all of us out there. Let's go out there and try to support one another in a tough environment.
Yeah, I think that it's a relationship business for sure. And
Yeah.
so making relationships, learning from other people, that's such a key to success.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned martial arts.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that and what that's taught you about leadership.
if anyone trains in combat sports, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm sure most people have heard of it. If you watch the UFC, the fights stand up, you're not wearing gloves, but you're doing all the grappling. You're wrestling, you're doing submissions, you're trying to choke people unconscious, you're trying to twist one of their limbs in a direction it shouldn't go, where a bone can break or ligaments can tear. But it's actually a very intelligent sport. And I got into it almost 15 years ago. I've taken some breaks because of injuries, and then I took off for about 14 months during COVID. Knowing what we knew at the time, it probably wasn't the best idea to be grappling with people. It helps you from a confidence standpoint. I mentioned a little bit earlier, being calm under pressure. In jujitsu, if I were to go to class tonight, we're going to intentionally put ourselves in a horrible position where an opponent has an incredible advantage over us to choke us unconscious or hurt us. It's your job to figure out how to escape from that. That has given me the calmness from a leadership standpoint. And it rolls into life too. Even my kids have said to me, my kids are 24 and 26 now, but they're like, you were always a good dad, but obviously, sometimes your temper got the worst of you, and had crazy years at work. And you're like, the jujitsu is good because it lets you stay in shape. You like to compete, so you go and you fight other people that you don't know, and that's the competition aspect. But they're also like, it's actually made you more calm. So it's kind of cool when you're the kids that mean the most to me, and my wife, obviously, they're all like, yeah, you know what? I truly believe it's made me a better human being, a better husband, a better son, a better father, and a better leader for my employees, because it's taught me to be calm under pressure. With all the stress we have in our industry, I know I'm talking about all this violent stuff, and if you saw my body, I got bruises on my arms and legs from grappling. But overall, I feel great. I'm training for a fight in September, so I'm about 5 weeks out from that right now, and I feel great. I could have the most stressful day at work, and when you go to jujitsu, you can't think about anything else other than what you're doing, or you're seriously going to get injured. So for me, it's a good mental escape. And then the best part is some of the best human beings that I've met have been through jujitsu, because in high school, I didn't really fit into any particular group. But like most of us in high school, like you're a jock, you're this, you're more introverted, you're more extroverted. Some people were like a class clown. I was just kind of like the average dude that just I got along with everybody, but I really wasn't part of any of these clique per se. In corporate America, that stuff still goes on. It's just they're adults now, and it's like there's a good old boys club at some companies, there's mean girls at some companies, there's both or combinations. And what I found with jujitsu is, regardless of age, race, religion, economic background, everybody comes together, nobody judges one another, and there's the utmost respect for one another. And to me, it's a very special thing. It's as good as it is for the body to keep you in good shape, it's even better for the mind.
I did Taekwondo for a few years and really enjoyed it. I gave it up whenever after my husband passed, because becoming a single mom overnight, I had to, and being in the mortgage industry, it was very challenging to say the least. But my daughter, she was a wrestler, and she used to say, you got to leave it all on the mat. You go out there, you have a rough day, and you come in and you just leave it all, and you just get on the mat and you do your best.
That's it. No, and credit to you. Taekwondo is awesome. And wrestling, I talked to somebody through LinkedIn yesterday who was a Division I wrestler in college, years ago. And I told him, I'm like, I have the utmost respect for wrestlers, because I watched the wrestlers in high school. And now I go against some of these young wrestlers that are doing jujitsu now. So they already know how to do all the wrestling stuff. And now they're really learning how to do like the MMA and the jujitsu stuff. And it's hard. It's hard to keep up with them. So it's awesome that your daughter did that. So
yeah, it was good. So you describe yourself as a growth-focused leader.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time in your leadership that has really pushed you outside of your comfort zone, other than, I guess you've already mentioned, becoming president during the biggest COVID, market shift?
Yeah. During the Wall Street meltdown, and then COVID. I think the question is more like something that helped define me or push me into that growth
Mhm.
mindset. I'm
Yes.
just super competitive. I've always been. Like when I was a kid, I saw my dad like to garden in New Jersey, and I'm like, I don't even know how I came up with it. I'm just like, I want to grow my own garden, Dad. And he lent me money for it, and he rototilled it and bought me a fence and put it up. And then I went door to door selling vegetables. I was like in elementary school and making money. So I've always wanted to make, I have a high economic drive. I'm not
Mhm.
greedy. I figure if you have the opportunity to make money, you might as well maximize it. So the growth started as a young man. When I was originating at Norwest, even on the consumer finance side, we were doing mortgages, and we had 300 people in the region, between North Carolina up through Maryland. And I'm like, I want to see that list. And
Mhm.
if I'm not in the top 10, I'm going to be pissed. I have to be in the top 10. I have to do it. So the growth started as a child. I played ice hockey, club ice hockey through college. And I think with that, I wanted to create something. I wanted to make it work. And then I've had a lot of people doubt me my whole life, Tammy. And
Mhm.
that's there's a little flame under my ass or my foot, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but I just figure if you talk to people, if you're a leader of a team, you should know what your team wants. Like, what are their goals? Is it a certain income level? Is it a certain volume level? Is it the two of those, correlate with one another? The growth philosophy comes into if I set a big goal and I give a vision on how we're going to get there, then my team is going to have confidence that I'm going to be able to back him up. Like he's being totally transparent. He's telling us what we want to do. He can help me because I've done it. I'm not originating right now. I stopped originating in 2018, but I originated at a very high level for years. Even in between, I remember it was 2016. There was a small refi boom, and I was at a company called Mariner Finance, and a couple of the employees were, oh, I can't, it's so hard, it's so hard. I'm like, it's not hard. And I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do my regular job. I'm licensed. I'm just going to focus on originating for the next 3 to 4 months. And I did it. And in a quarter, I outsold a bunch of them. So what it showed them was I didn't do it to make them feel bad. I did it to prove a point and say it's mindset. You need to have that confidence to go out there and do it. You need to know your products, your programs. But like if you're doing this job, don't just sit on your ass and wait for the phones to ring. You got to go out there and make it rain. And that's where that growth philosophy comes in. Like if you're in a commission based environment, whether it's mortgage, software sales, pharmaceutical sales, why wouldn't you go out there and make as much money, help as many people as you can? And I keep saying make money. Money is important to me. I just put a poll out on that the other day, and I admit it. It's very important to me. It's important to me because I like to donate. I like to give back to people. I took less money to come back to rate than I was being offered at other companies because of the people there. I already knew a lot of them. I knew the platform was great. If you always put your team first, you will get blessed in the long run. The growth will come because you're fighting for each person's personal growth, if that makes sense. It's like,
Mhm.
I know it's not a normal philosophy that people talk about a lot. If there's one thing that's helped me get from where I was in 1995 at Norwest to where I am now, 31 years in now, it's always put the other people on the team first. Help them with their growth, and your growth will happen on itself. If you just focus on your growth or your bank account as a leader, you're going to have retention issues. You're going to be known as a selfish whatever. It's just, it's reality. And unfortunately, I think, I don't want to say it's the majority, but it might be 50% or more people in sales leadership positions. They probably don't know their top employees' details. If it's a man, they don't know. They may not know what the wife's name is. They might not know how many kids they have or what they like to eat or what they like to do because they don't spend time with them. They just see them as an override. And I'm not saying it's everybody, but I've had plenty of people who are having a very good year growing right now with recruiting. And a lot of the recruits that are here, but also people that I'm talking to at different companies around the country right now are sharing that. It's like my manager's not a bad person. He or she just clearly doesn't give a shit about me. And it's unfortunate. And I'm like, well, how do you know that? I'm like, because they don't return my phone calls. And then I send them a text saying, hey, I've got an issue with a loan that's closing tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I don't get any help. So like, why are they earning an override off of me? They care about me when my volume's there, but if my volume falls off, all of a sudden they're hard to find. I'm sure other people that will resonate.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I like what you said earlier about, you had to get rid of your top performer because, it wasn't a good fit. He wasn't doing the right things. But so
Right.
many people keep those people in, and they can be a toxic part of the community, of the organization, where they're stressing the rest of the people out. I had one of the last places that I was at, when I signed my offer letter, I was hired and I was going to work for somebody I had worked with before. I kind of forgot that he had kind of not been the best leader, but it was whatever. It seemed I wanted to go back to a bank, and when I got my offer letter, it had somebody else's name on it as a manager. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. I've seen him at networking events and he doesn't talk very good about women. And I don't, I don't know. And he's like, oh, I've already told him you're coming. He's really excited about it. If it's a problem, let me know.
Yeah.
And then 30 days in, it's a problem. He's walking around the office, talking on his phone, on speakerphone, like walking through the office, cussing. Like, it was very difficult to make sales calls when you're hearing that background. And I went to the person that I knew, and I was like, this is what's happening, and people are coming and talking to me, because they do. Like, I have in my human design, I have my core essence is about intimacy, and
Yeah.
people share with me all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you're just a shit starter. And I was like, I'm not trying to start anything. You told me to come to you if it was a
Right.
problem. I think that for me, I've decided that I had a lot of challenging leadership experiences, because I'm here to share that and to be able to teach people, like, that's not who you want to be. And so I
Hmm.
can look at it as a lesson, but in the core of it, when it was happening, it was so challenging. And that is when, for me, I discovered this tool called human design, that I would say for me is kind of comparable to your jujitsu with your kids, and
Hmm.
making you calmer, because this taught me that I was being very reactive to other people's
Yeah.
emotions. And
Yeah.
so my daughter, especially, she's like, I don't believe in all of that. And I was like, girl, I get, yeah, when I first heard about it, I didn't either, but I've become a better parent because I'm no longer reacting to the emotion. I've like learned to give people space for their feelings. Is that something that you feel like as a leader, that over the years you've really grown into giving, listening and giving people the space for how they feel? Do you think that comes from jujitsu, or being in the industry, being a parent? Where does
I,
where does
I
it come from?
I think it comes from all of them. So I got my first management job in October of '96, and it's always about listening. Like, and I'll give you a real world example. I'm going to fast forward from '96, my first management job, to when I came back to rate on September 30th of last year.
Mhm.
The first thing I did when I got back is I set up a Teams meeting and said, hey, I'm happy to be back. I already knew most of the people, not all of them, but most of them. And I said, here's what I'm going to do. Every person in this region, sales, ops, support, because in my world, they're all equals. And that's a whole nother discussion for our industry, because not everyone feels
Yes.
that way. They think it's all sales and everyone else just, you're there, gunga din, bring water. Like, that's just not how it is. It's, you have to respect your ops partners. You have to respect headquarters. But what I've found is if you treat them all equally and give them all a seat at the table and a voice to be heard, they appreciate it. I said in the month of October, I started September 30th, I'm going to meet with 2 to 4 people a day. If they
Mhm.
want 5 minutes, 5 minutes, that's all they need. If they need an hour and a half, give them an hour and a half. I want to know, how are things going? What do you like? What don't you like? What can I, as a leader, do for you? And it was awesome. I have the notes sitting right over here where I'm pointing. I keep them on. I do a lot, with technology, but I have all that stuff on paper. And I could sit back and be like, oh, here's the processors. I know what's important. You put them first. I'm big. So I live in northern Baltimore County. Most of our region is south of Baltimore, between like Annapolis over to like to the DC area, Northern Virginia. And I host a top 10 performer lunch every month. And
Mm-hmm.
we come, it's voluntary, you don't have to come, but majority of the people come if they can. And, we get a nice meal, we grab some drinks, and we talk about what's working and what's not working. For me, it's super important to do that. And that also leads into the next thing of if you hire good managers, like I'm blessed to work with some of the best managers in the industry, wonderful human beings, same leadership style. They understand my expectation of communicate, be honest, help develop your people, be accessible. All those things make a difference. And that leads into one of the biggest voids in this industry right now, which is really what I'm focusing on. And it's resonating with people and helping me grow and our team grow is what can I do to mentor you? Like
Mm.
when you go to a recruit, like there's so many bad recruiters out there that are just trying to get that cold call slam. They're like, hey, Tammy, I want you to sign a contract and agree. I'm going to send you a DocuSign. And in 5 minutes after I hang up, you're going to be so convinced that you're going to come here. No, I don't even do that. I get to know the people. I want to know them. Going back to the guy that, you heard that name and he probably made your like, oh, I don't even know if I want to go there. Tammy, if you came to me and said, hey, Scott, you seem like a nice guy. I have someone who's a top producer, don't know him real well, they were referred to me. If I knew that that person was a complete blank, just not a good person to work with, I don't care if they produce $100 million. I'm punting on that person all day long. I'd rather have $5 to $10 million originators that want to be mentored, want to have the right platform to grow, and want leaders that will actually give a shit about them to help develop them, mentor them, train them, because I had some good people that did that for me. And that it's contagious. And I didn't change just because, hey, now I've been doing this for all these years and I've had success and money. And it doesn't matter. This is a way to give back to people. I wasn't sure if I was going to work last summer, but I'm like, I'm coming back and we're going to freaking kill it. But you know how we're going to kill it? Because I'm going to set the plate so that when I go into retirement, anybody who wants to be a part of this can earn the opportunity to take it over when I walk over into the sunset. But between now and then, I'm going to help every single one of them crush their goal, whether it's a work-life balance and they only want to do a million a month, or if they want to do 100 million and make $1 million a year. I'm going to do everything within my powers to help each and every one of them hit their goals. And then it's just consistent, transparent, honest communication. You haven't told me not to say the S word. So I'll just say, I think there's a lot of people in corporate America and definitely our industry that are just full of shit. They tell people what they want to hear, and then there's no backing to it. So my philosophy is I'm going to tell you what you want to hear, but I might give an action and then say it, or say it within close proximity of one another. And you're going to see it. You're going to see something happen with it. And I think that's the problem. And I've been there. I've had some bad leaders that were, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And guess what? I played kick the can growing up in the 70s and early 80s. I don't know if you ever played that game. And the can keeps getting further down the road and further down the road. And then you start in corporate America, as we're adults, and you've got a family to support, that becomes more and more frustrating because it's something important to you. And the leaders are just trying to buy time. They're saying, it's okay, Tammy, I'm going to take care of it. I'll get back to you next week. Never get back to you. You give them another week because you're a nice woman and you're like, oh, he's busy. I'll give him time. And then he never gets back to you. And then it happens again. That's the big problem in corporate America now, is there's too much of that stuff going on.
No follow through.
Yeah, no follow through. And in some cases, it's because they don't give a shit. I do think that there's a lot of people that do care and that genuinely want to help their employees, but they maybe were misled a little bit or thought they had more authority to make decisions and help, and they're getting shut down. They also might be sitting back where I'm an empty nester. My college and all that, I got raises when my kids, graduated college. So I I have no fear. If a company wants to get upset with me and say we don't want you to work here anymore, fine, I'll go retire. I'll go do something else. But I understand that there's a lot of people right now that are like, I can't get my same job. I just have to bite my tongue as much as it kills me. And that's who I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for my team, but those are the people that I'm fighting for. The people that are good human beings that do things the right way, that are stuck in a position that they don't want to be in. And I pray to God that as soon as the market turns a little bit and opportunity opens up, that all those wonderful people find a better opportunity with genuine human beings that want to take care of them.
Mm.
I really do. I hope that happens. That makes me feel good. Like doing little things, those things are important.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, what does unleash your amazing leadership mean to you?
Unleash the amazing leadership. Well, thank you for calling it amazing. I don't think anyone's ever said that to me, but I do feel, I think unleashing the amazing leadership is going out there and having the gumption to just put yourself out there in public. And I decided a few years ago, there's a young lady in marketing named Sarah. She might see this when it goes live. Sarah, I was already doing a decent amount on here, but Sarah really encouraged me, said, hey, you're coming to a company that's not well known in your area, but you're well known and respected, and like build your brand. Just
Mm.
I love the fact that you're kind but blunt. You'll call people out, but you don't name names or companies. You're not slandering people, but you're saying what a lot of other people want to say. So I think unleashing the leadership is doing two things. It's giving everybody a taste of what it looks like through LinkedIn. It's also being tested because not every day, well, pretty much every day I do get private DMs from people. And a lot of times they just want me to, can I jump on a call? I need some career advice. I can't put this in your post because my boss or someone else might see it. That's where they're seeing it firsthand. And they're like, dude, you just spent 30 minutes on the call with me. And I'm like, yeah, I may never meet you. We never work together. All I want in return is send me a message to know that the advice helped you or you landed a new job. And then the big thing is I'm rounding third base and going to home plate, Tammy. I'm having a ton of fun right now. I work with so many wonderful people and I've got room to grow here. I want to bring on other like-minded leaders that have the skill set, but they feel like I can't do what I want to do where I am. And unleashing that leadership is sharing everything that I know, everything I do, no strings attached. It's completely free. It's not a sales pitch. I'm doing it now. I brought I already had a great group of managers here. And in Northern Virginia, we brought on somebody right after the holidays. They all started the first week of June. And they're absolutely killing it. Same mentality. And when I met with him last fall, we got together halfway between DC and Maryland and Baltimore. He basically said, I've been following you forever. I almost came to work for you 4 years ago when you were at Guaranteed Rate, but it just wasn't the right time. Now's the right time. This is someone who was doing, upwards of 100 million, successful branch manager too. Like, I need you to teach me what you know. You've done it. You've taken something from nothing to running a mid-sized company, almost 2.5 billion. Mentor me. I have a life coach that I work with too. I need you. Share your experience. Help me do this. And Tammy, I'm not saying this to boast or anything. I'm not mentioning names or the former company because I don't. They're all good people. I don't want to say anything negative about anybody. But what I'm saying is he had a willingness, and that was our agreement. All I ask in return is that you run with it, and everything I'm teaching you, you go with. And it's just coaching. It's like you come. A lot of people do coaching right now, and the dude is killing it. I'd love to do that. He's doing it in the DC market. I'm looking for someone right now and to handle like the Baltimore area, and then Richmond, Virginia, down to the Tidewater area. So that's really what I'm looking to do, is to unleash the leadership, is to show people, give them a taste for free. What you see on LinkedIn, that's like going to Costco or BJ's and getting a free sample. And you're like, hey, that chicken tastes pretty good. I'm going to go to the aisle and buy 2 bags of it because it's on sale. And I hope it tastes as good when I make it at home. But when you come here, this is the way it is. In our area is the DMV is Maryland, DC, and Virginia, and that's where our primary focus is. But if somebody is somewhere else in the country outside of our area and says, "Hey, look, this resonates with me, and I want to work," in your region, I've had that happen. We just brought
Mm.
somebody on board who was up in Massachusetts and is moving to South Carolina. Like, no, I want to work for you. I want to work for your team. I'm not going to put stuff out there. Unleashing the leadership is being genuine. It's being confident. It's being humble, and it's being unselfish. It's going out there and saying, I'm going to do everything I can to help you crush your goals. I'm just passionate about it. Like, Tammy, this is my way of giving back. Like, some people, get off on, they feel good about, hey, I did this or I did that. Like, I feel good when someone sits back and said, you helped me get that win. You made my day better, my week better, my month better, my year better. Things like that make a difference. The same way, a random act of kindness, like, go up to a cash register, someone has a small amount of stuff, and just say, here, boom, swipe it for them and go. Why would you do that? I just feel like karma. I'm Catholic. I go to mass on Christmas Eve and that's it. I don't go that often, but I'm a good person. I don't talk about it a whole lot, but I back it up with actions. And I think that's unleashing the leadership. You can't unleash your leadership unless there's actions behind the words, because the words don't mean shit unless there's actions to back them up.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they find you?
Well, 3 ways, and thank you for asking. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. They could send me a DM on LinkedIn. My cell phone number is 410-852-4186. Or they can email me at my name, Scott, SCOTT Reise, REISE @rate.com. Every day I've got ops people reaching out to me all the time, and I'm like, go look at our website. If there's something on there, I'm happy to try to find a hiring manager. I can't help them find a job because I'm on the sales side, but I could help, get their information out there and in front of people. And I got to rely on other people to do that. But if there's salespeople out there that they're happy where they are, but they're just not getting what they want, and they want to see, hey, if something happens, what's another option? They should talk. If they want to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to them. But even if you don't, not everyone likes my style. They think I'm too outspoken, or I don't want to use the term brash. It's confident. It's just I'm right on a lot of the stuff I talk about, because it's not just my opinion. I have friends in this industry across the country, and we have mastermind sessions every month. Some of them I'm talking to almost weekly, and a lot of them are like, I can't put this stuff out here because you have no problem being you. Just throw it out there. And when you guys see posts out there about, hey, I talked to several leaders, yeah, that's my opinion, because I'm willing to put it out there and put my name behind it, but I'm also speaking on behalf of others. I seriously think that a lot of change is going to happen, and I hope it's minimal, and I hope some of the change is good change. But I know plenty of people that have been blindsided. If anyone listening to this is in sales management in the mortgage industry, including me, and you have a salary and you have recruiting goals, retention goals, and profit goals, there's always a target on your back, whether you realize it or not. It doesn't matter if one of those people is a puppet and is best buddies or best gals with the boss in front of them. If the numbers aren't there, some tough decisions are going to have to be made. And I think that's there's been so many cuts to ops and facilities over the last few years. I think the next stage is going to be layers of sales management. I don't like it, but I understand it. And I also understand that if my numbers aren't there, that my company has every right to terminate me for not hitting my numbers. So I'm just not going to let that happen. But if someone's listening to this, whether you're killing this year, you're having an average year, or you're struggling, always have a backup plan. My backup plan is retirement. I'll just go retire and do coaching on the side part-time to help people and do volunteer work. When the Red Cross needs help, I'll get on an airplane and fly there and put in some physical labor and donate some money. But have a backup plan. If someone, and on the upside too, you never know what can happen. It's good to have friends and allies in the business. You don't want to talk to me. I don't, that's fine. I don't take it personally. Talk to another trusted leader or two in your market and make sure that they're the right people in the right company so that if one day something happens, a lot of your due diligence is done. Because most times when people have to make moves, it's unexpected. It happens quickly. There's a blind side, and all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I have a family and kids and a mortgage and this. How the hell am I going to have time? I got to get one kid to practice on this side of town, the other over here. When am I going to be able to do my? It's a lot. And
Mhm.
these, Tammy, these are stories that I've heard over the years from hundreds of sales ops headquarters support people who have shared their personal stories with me of how tough it is and said, you were right. I've had haters that have called me out privately. They've sent me DMs telling me I'm full of shit. And then, 8 months later, they're reaching out saying, you know what, I apologize. You were right. I just got screwed over and laid off. And my friend from college had to do it. Now he got screwed. So my point is, this isn't about making friends. If we could be friends, that's great. I just really want to put the truth out there and help people. And if it helps one person lift their spirits from a motivational post, or if I put something out there that resonates with people and it says, you know what, he's right, maybe I should go look. I don't think it's a bad thing to have a backup plan because we talk about a rainy day fund financially, right? Like if something goes up, you want to try to have 6 to 12 months of monthly bills stacked away somewhere. Why wouldn't you do that with your career too, just in case something happens? How many people that are going to hear this have had a great boss and a job they liked, and all of a sudden that boss got promoted or went somewhere else, and a new person came in and said, "Huh, I want to bring my own people in and my own team," and all of a sudden you went from heaven to hell in a short period of time. It's happened to me.
Yes.
So
Yes.
have a backup plan.
Always have the best time to find another role is not when you've just lost your job. It's having that backup plan. So that's a very
Yeah,
important message. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today and your wisdom. I really appreciate it. And I will look forward to chatting again one day soon and watching you on LinkedIn as well.
awesome. Well, no, I appreciate you taking the time and the invite and getting to spend some time with you. It's been awesome. So whatever I can do to help you.
Thanks for listening to Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss what's next. Want more support or curious about working together? Visit unleashyouramazing.com to explore coaching, workshops, and ways to connect. Until next time, keep showing up and unleashing your amazing.